Hey guys, it's Mr. Walker here, and it may look like I'm playing Minecraft, and I am playing Minecraft, but the cool thing is we are actually going to use Minecraft to help us learn some math today. We're going to be taking a look at a math lesson where we're trying to find the volume of combined rectangular prisms or combined three-dimensional shapes, and we can actually use Minecraft to help us do that, which is really pretty cool. So I'm going to be playing around a little bit in Minecraft, looking at these combined rectangular prisms and using that to help me explain the lesson. And if you don't know what Minecraft is, that's totally fine. It's a really cool building and creating game that we're going to learn a little bit more about later. But you can just kind of watch along even if you don't know what Minecraft is and still be able to get something from the lesson, which is pretty cool. So you can see my little Minecraft me hanging out in there. And again, like I said, what we're going to be learning about is how we can find the volume of combined rectangular prisms. So what I've done here in Minecraft is I've built this combined three-dimensional figure. Okay, so we have two rectangular prisms here that are combined to make one shape, and we want to know what the volume of this shape is. And there's a couple different ways we can figure that out. Now in Minecraft, I guess you could say it's kind of easy because we could just count up the squares, right? Even the squares that we can't see, we can count them up. And don't mind my horse friends over here that always seem to be hanging out. But in Minecraft, we could count up those squares. We could figure out that units, right? How many units make up this shape. But if we weren't able to do that, there are some other ways that we could figure out the volume of this figure, of this combined figure here. And the first way would be to actually, kind of cut this shape into two rectangular prisms, right? We can kind of either cut off the top block over here, cut off like these guys in this direction, or we could cut it down this way as well. And either way, we can have two shapes. We can find the volume of those two rectangular prisms, and then we can add that volume together, or those two volumes together, to get one total volume, which would be one way to find that. Okay. Another way would be to take a look at the negative space. Okay, this kind of round this off and make one rectangular prism, and then take the area of that and minus it from the total. And I'm going to show you both ways we could do that, and I'm going to do it right here in Minecraft by building some blocks. Okay, so we have some blocks here representing our shape. I'm going to kind of move my position here a little bit so we can take a closer look. So if you're following along with me in your Go Math textbook, if you have that, we are on lesson 11.11, which is on page 507. And if you don't have that lesson or that page in front of you, it's okay. We're kind of doing this together, but it might help you to kind of keep notes in that way if you want to keep track of your thinking and what you're learning. So what I did here is I created a three-dimensional shape here out of two rectangular prisms. And if I were to count the squares going across the bottom, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Just like our shape in the textbooks has 10 inches. So I'm going to say that each one of these cubes is a cubic inch, okay? So I have 10 going this way. On the side over here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, I'm going to have 10 going down this side, right? And then, let's see, there's going to be 4 on this side. And going up this side, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there's 2 inches going across here. So I have all these dimensions, right, that I could take on this shape. And if I were to break this combined figure into two different figures, two separate rectangular prisms, I could find the area of each rectangular prism and then add it together. Okay? Okay, so if you bear with me for a second here, essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking the one rectangle off of the top of this one and I'm sliding it over, okay? So if I come in here and I'm basically taking this guy out, I've basically just removed it and I've slid it right over here. So now I have two rectangular prisms, and I can find the volume of each one of them and then add them together to find what the volume would have been of that whole complete figure, the whole combined figure. So over here I have 4 units by 4 units by 2. So I have my length of 4, I have my width of 2, and I have my height of 4. So length times width times height. So I have 4 times 4 times 2, which will give me a total of 32 inches cubed, right? Perfect. So I have that guy as 32 inches cubed. The remaining piece over here that I have is going to be 10 inches in length. It's going to be 4 inches deep, and it's going to be 2 inches high. So I have 10 times 4 times 2, and that's going to give me a volume of 80 inches cubed. Okay? So now I have that. I have my 32 inches cubed here. I have my 80 inches cubed over here. I add those two together, and I'm going to get 112 total cubic inches for that combined figure. Okay, so basically I had that figure whole, I split it apart into two, found the volume of each, and then I could add it back together at the end to find the total. So again, just to look at that again, I found the volume of my first rectangle, the volume of my second rectangular prism. I added them together and I got my total volume. Another way that you can look at this is to look at the space, I guess they call it the negative space, the space that's not being taken up by anything. Basically, if I were to make this into a rectangular prism itself. And one thing you want to keep in mind is that it was easy for us here to count the unit cubes, right? I could count 2 up over here, I could count 4 up on that side, but sometimes you're not going to have the luxury of doing that, like the example in the textbook. It's not telling you what that side is. It's maybe giving you one of the sides but not the other. So if it had given us this side of 4 and the total over here of 6, we know that this has got to be too high because the 6 minus the 4 is going to leave us with 2. So you have to kind of use a little bit of math, a little bit of reasoning there to figure out what that missing distance might be. So that's one of the ways that we can find volume, right? Is by breaking those two pieces apart, finding out the area of each, and then combining it together. We can also take a look at what's called like the negative space, or this space that's not being used to basically make this one whole rectangular prism, and then we can subtract that away. And what I mean by that is if we did something like this, let's we're going to try to build something here. We're going to make this, we're going to kind of okay, so let's take a step back now and look at this. Now I have this whole other shape inside my rectangular combined rectangular prism shape that I had, right? If I could find the volume of this total shape, this total rectangular prism all the way around, and then subtract just like the gray part, just that gray rectangular prism, then I'd be able to find the volume of the whole thing as well. So what that means is I'm first going to find the volume of like this total whole shape, and I'm sorry if this camera angle is making me a little bit dizzy, but I want to start here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10, right? That's going to be my length. We'll call the length. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be my height, 6 high. And then my width is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 by 6 by 10 across. So 4 times 6 times 10, that's going to give me the total volume for like that whole shape, right? If I were to kind of square it off like that. So if I did that, the total volume of this rectangular prism here would be 240 cubic inches. Okay, so that's the total, 240. And now I'm going to find the volume of just this gray space, right? Just that gray rectangular prism as it sits there. And I'm going to subtract that from my 240, and that should give me the volume of that left over, just the brown bricks there. So basically, again, I'm just looking for the area, the volume of that gray kind of box right there, right? So this guy is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 high, 4 units high by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units wide by 1, 2, 3, 4 units in length. Or we can kind of switch those up from what we said last time or the other shape. But basically I have 4 by 4 by 8. Okay, 4 by 4 by 8. So if I do 4 times 8, that's going to give me 128 cubic inches. So that's the volume of that shape. So the total volume of the whole rectangular prism was 240 cubic inches. The volume of just this gray space here was 128 cubic inches. So if I subtract 128 from that 240, that should give me just the brown portion, right? Just that combined figure right there. And 240 minus 128 will give me 112 cubic inches, which is what we had finding it the other way when we split them apart and then combined it back together in the end. So I kind of wanted to use Minecraft here to kind of visually represent this using the unit blocks, right? So we could kind of see what was going on and what we were building and what we were taking away and what we were moving apart, just to kind of represent it visually like that. So I hope this helped to kind of put it out like that. But we're going to take a look at another example, and we'll do that on paper so we can kind of mess around with it that way too. This is just kind of a visual way of looking at it, and now we'll do it where we can look at the boxes in 3D on an actual two-dimensional sheet of paper.